We told you a few minutes ago the NCAA is changing its rules about student athletes earning compensation. Now, a couple things to know. Schools will not be paying players, but this could potentially affect virtually any intercollegiate student athlete. All the talk for now is about players doing commercials or how this will affect NCAA video games. And somebody like Joe Burrow, for instance, might actually earn some commercial endorsement money. But the vast, overwhelming number of athletes won't. How it could affect them is players will be allowed to make money off their names, meaning they could sell their autographs, meaning boosters could, if they wanted to, organize autograph signing parties and potentially pay any or all LSU student athletes, for instance, to participate. In theory, some of the money raised by organizations like the Tiger Athletic Fund could go to the athletes, and obviously the amounts would be greater at places like LSU, but all colleges have athletic boosters. Bottom line, the rich in college athletics figure to get richer because recruits could be promised autograph parties, but the rich are getting richer now, so that's not really a change.